Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but.
So I want to start our episode today, Hermana, by talking about some listener feedback that we've had. Thank you, listeners, for giving us some feedback.
Oh, yay, listener feedback.
Yeah.
They're not my friends.
One was on our Instagram, Monique, our strongest listener, I think. She's definitely one of the top two. And she was great and gave us some Google feedback that John Waters is called both the King of Trash and the King of Filth. He's referred to by both.
I saw something the other day that called him the Pope of Filth.
The Pope of Filth. Wow, that is.
Yeah, I saw like a rando, I don't know if it was on Facebook or Instagram, but something that, because they obviously were reading my
mind grapes.
Yes. My electronic mind grapes.
Your cookies.
My cookies. They were reading my cookies. My cookies alone. It's my cookies.
You got to consume those cookies faster, like Cookie Monster. So yes, and then she also reminisced with us because she too knew Mom and Dad's friends, Richard Skiles, and she and Richard went to UNT to hear John Waters speak and got one of his books signed while they were there, way back in like 88, 89. So that could actually have been when he was out promoting Hairspray, for all we know. So that was pretty cool.
Possibly.
So thanks for sharing, Monique. Monique kind of bridges the age gap between us and our parents. So it's an interesting relational dynamic there.
She's like a true Gen X.
Yeah, she's truly Gen X. We're cuspers. So yeah.
Yeah.
And Mom and Dad are boomers. That's fine. Our cousin
much.
Our cousin Trish came to town this week, and we had dinner with her and her son and her son's girlfriend, and it was very nice. And Trish is bubbly and wonderful, and she talked and she made me feel better about dating because she said that she said that guys don't like it when you don't text them back, when you take too long to text them back. And then I was thinking with my experience where anytime I join one of those dating apps, you immediately get one of those weirdos who's like, give me your phone number. And then because I'm like, okay, fine. And then I do. And then they send me like 5 texts in a row. And then they get mad because I don't respond. So I'm like, I have a job, dude. Like, I don't know what you're doing with your whole life, but like, I don't just sit around waiting for people to text me. Like, I do real work in this world.
I'm really surprised that you were that quick to give your number up. That's such a Ryan Davis move.
Like, I mean, I obviously am bad at dating.
Okay, but I feel like you would be like, no, red flag, bye. Like,
yeah, I did that by never getting on the apps again. And so Trish goes, I mean, it had just been 30 days.
Boss, what a fucking queen.
I know. She's like, I mean, if he wanted to talk to me, why didn't he just text me in between?
Oh man,
because you
bow
are
down.
Yeah, like, no joke.
Oh, all right, Trish, you are a boss ass bitch, and I love it. Like you are, you won. Yeah, you won the online dating.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not if you're actually trying to date someone, but
yeah, fuck that.
So I was like, 30 days. That is a little long. a little bit.
Like, what was the what's the demeanor of her son when this conversation's happening?
Oh, they're teenagers. They were just on their phones. So. But toward the end,
they're together, but they're on their phones. Like, ugh.
But then toward the end of the conversation, he actually talked, which he doesn't usually do. So that was kind of fun. But he was telling stories because we were talking about how I don't, we were talking about getting in trouble as a teenager or something. And then she was like, I don't ask a lot of you, I just need to know like where you are and who you're with. And, that's not a big deal, right? And, and then he starts telling some story about they're going off-roading and somebody's wheel came off, and then other people, they went to go rescue them and their wheel came off, and then he was lying in the back of a pickup truck and they were going off-roading and he's flying up in the air in the back of all this shit. And so I was like, oh, okay. So Trish, what he should have texted you was, I'm with idiots and we're doing idiotic things.
Love you.
And then I was like, oh, by the way, y'all, just so you understand how my teenage years were, I got grounded for being 9 minutes late on a 9 p.m. curfew on a Sunday night because I was a mile and a half away at my friend's house and we were watching an Andy Warhol movie and it was running a little bit late.
That's what happens when you're a nerd, man. Like,
so, yeah.
I can't even imagine what life is going to be like in 15 years, or I don't know, what, 12 years? 10 years. Okay, in 10 years for me with Elliot.
Yeah, it's going to be awful. I'm probably going to move to another country so I don't have to hear about it.
Thanks. You need the support, asshole.
Maybe Ireland, the mother country.
Well, first of all, yeah, so Monique and Trish, our top two listeners.
Shout out.
The co-presidents of our fan club.
That's right.
Thank you for your continued support.
We stan y'all too.
Yeah.
Very much, very much.
But yes.
How'd you waste time this
diddly
week?
dee.
Diddly diddly dee.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
That's right. We are recording on St. Patrick's Day, so
no, we're not. Friday was St. Patrick's Day, dude.
March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and today is March 17th.
It's not March 15th.
Nope. That's the Ides of March. That's super exciting Roman holiday that we love to talk about.
Until this exact moment, I was convinced this year only. I'm not saying for my whole life, but this whole week I've been convinced that St. Patrick's Day was actually on Friday. And
You're
not
wrong.
today.
You're
so
wrong.
Yesterday, God damn. Oh, this is what happens. This is what happens. And I'm on medicine that's supposed to help with this kind of shit.
That's okay. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, yesterday it was
St. Patrick's Day is a made-up beer holiday. Please continue.
It's just funny. Yeah, because yesterday Elliot was like, we went to Costco, he's like, are we getting decorations for St. Patrick's Day? And I was like, no, it's over. It's too late. We missed it. We'll do it. And then we were at the parade. He's like, is St. Patrick's Day over? I was like, it will be after today. Like, I'm just a liar. Like,
I mean, lying implies that you have malicious intent.
Yeah.
You're an ignorancer. It's not the same thing.
An idiot.
You're a cloudy brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Any other things you wasted time on this week you want to share?
I watched the new series on Apple. No, not on Apple. We don't have Apple. On Peacock.
Okay.
The Apple. It's because there's Apple in the Apples Never Fall.
Oh yeah.
I guess So I watched, finished that last night. It's good. It's good. Normally when I watch TV, I'm kind of bored and I'm like doing work and like I was just like
engrossed.
And if you haven't watched it, or are you going to watch it?
I started the book and never finished it, so I don't think so.
Okay. If you are going to watch it or you're going to read the book or whatever, stop listening now because I'm going to talk about like
skip ahead.
Because like seriously, like, and I guess this is how I know it's good because at the end I was like, that's it. Like, that's the freaking end. Like what?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like there's some closure, but there's not a lot of closure. And I'm
Okay.
like, quit. So, but
No, that's okay.
it was good. They're all terrible people, which is always like kind of hard to watch, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like this family. It's like anytime someone actually starts talking about like some real shit, then someone's like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, oh, just fucking yell at each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
just fucking yell at each
Have it
other.
out.
Like,
Be Irish about it.
yeah, like I will say for whatever, our family's not perfect, but I will always say how much I appreciate the fact that it's like we have it the fuck out.
Yeah.
But we don't let it build to the point where we're like screaming and yelling at each other, you
Right.
know?
Thank
We
goodness.
say, I love you, but you
Yeah.
know, and that's, yeah, it's so much healthier
I
because
agree.
these people were fucked.
Yeah.
But
I
it
can't
was,
believe
I
you
mean,
made it through. That doesn't seem like something you would be able to sit with. So, congratulations.
I mean, I mean, obviously it's different than, I haven't read the book, but, surely there's not the same. But yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was interesting. I
Okay.
like people.
Well, it's
So,
the same woman who wrote Pretty Little Lies or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And I liked that,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good show.
Yeah.
And then you sent me one of her books, and I read that one, and they're hard to get through. Like, I don't know, like the one you said, it was good, but
Yeah.
it took me a while to get into it.
Yeah.
It was like the one I remember. It was the one about the kid in the fountain, um,
On the pool. Yeah.
or the pool, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, whatever. But yeah, like I can never remember the titles of books. Like I get on Goodreads, and I'm like, have I read this? I don't know.
Imagine if you've read like 400 historical romance novels. I'll be like a third of
Oh,
the way
oh,
through and be like, oh, wait, I've read this one.
yeah, no. Like Catherine Coulter can't even fuck around with her books anymore because like I read so many of them in middle school. There's
Yeah.
just like, which
It's,
also like I try to be a little more higher brow now.
yeah. I don't. I still enjoy my historical
And then
romance.
I've started watching a show on Netflix. I haven't finished it called is Bodies or
Yeah.
Body. That's good.
Yeah. Bodies is good.
Yeah. So speaking of flaming hellscapes,
Yeah.
in late stage capital.
It's got a
So
fun
that's
and it's got a fun ending too. So you'll enjoy that once you get
and
there.
I finished the latest season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Good
So
job.
yeah,
Congratulations.
you know,
You get your RHOB stamp for this
I
year.
know. Seen them all, girl. Seen them all. I'm all
Stamp
caught up.
her, stamp her pop culture
I
passport.
will say, but I don't do the guy, like sometimes I'm like, oh, what is it? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna like follow gossip or follow any, and all that.
Yeah.
Like one of my kids tried to start talking about the Kate Middleton thing, and I was just like, do you like? She was
I
so into it and trying to explain it to me, and like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, have you heard about gossip? Like, do you know what's happening there? Like, who the fuck gives a fuck? Like, I don't give a fuck about
yeah.
the fucking monarchy. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't even
Right.
live in that country.
Yeah. I'm just gonna wait till the true crime documentary comes out about it.
Like,
Then I'll be like,
why?
oh, I guess that's what
Like,
happened to
why?
Kate.
They were like, Missy was like, why are you so upset? I was like, because this is the first time that you have shown any interest in anything. And this
Right.
is an AP government class.
Yeah.
Like, you sleep the rest of the time, but today you're just, all the details.
Oh yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, at least the kids with the TikTok, and they're like, oh, they're gonna ban TikTok. Like, okay, I can work with that.
Yeah. They're upset
No.
about the banning of the thing that takes their time. That's funny.
I know.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to teach in the fall, and I just don't know if I can handle it, like physically, emotionally, mentally, timely. It's a lot to consider. But yeah,
How did you always start?
I went to the ER again. That was super fun.
Oh yeah.
And the worst part about it, and listen, I'm going to couch this in the phrase that if you are a person who has religion, I'm so happy for you. I think it's great. If you are a person who has mental illness, I'm so sorry. I have it too. It's tough. When I'm stuck in the ER in pain and they won't do anything for me except write me prescriptions that I can't fill immediately, and then I get stuck in a room with a woman who is deeply religious in a mentally ill way.
Oh no.
And I mean, there was a woman that I worked with who was like this. She passed away, but at least with her, I got paid when I had to listen to it, right? Because I was at work. So she'd be like, well, Jesus sent me on this path and blah, 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 and brought this little boy into my life. And even though he's allergic to milk, I still give him chocolate milk because he deserves a treat. You know, that kind of thing where I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This woman went on and on and on. And in the waiting room, it was only chairs. I can't sit. So I'm just like pacing in the hallway. And thankfully, some nurse comes out and it's like, can I help you? I'm like, I just want to leave. I just want to leave. Please let me leave. So she like found my paperwork and she's like, so here's the important part. And then we're going to pretend like I've read the entire rest of it to you because I know you're going to go home and read it, right? And I was like,
you have glasses, so that means you're a nerd. So you're going to read all of it.
I'll read this 15 times if you want, if you'll let me out of here. Like, let's go.
Get me away from this bitch.
Yeah, no, it was bad. And I mean, the way that I got there was, it was like I was kind of in pain in the morning, and then I went to chiropractic and they did an adjustment and they did a decompression, which is supposed to help. And then when I tried to get off the decompression table doing my log roll technique like I'm supposed to, once again I got into one of those positions where it was like the worst pain. But then I was like, okay, I'll just drive home and go to bed. And then I made it about 2 turns and parked in a parking lot and like started making phone calls to find somebody that could come and get me and take me to the ER. So, yeah, so no, it's okay. So I messaged my primary care that afternoon and said, hey, can we try a different referral? Because maybe I can get in faster. So I'm trying to work that angle. And then I did go to a birthday party yesterday. I was there for a whopping 2 hours and I laid on the couch the whole time I was there. So
anybody I know?
Oh, it was Tom's birthday. So
okay. Happy birthday, Tom Nelson.
I know he doesn't listen to this.
Fuck you, Tom Nelson.
He should though, because he thinks we're very funny and demanded once that we talk to him. So you know he should listen. But I don't
remember that. I don't think anyone's ever demanded.
Oh man. So a long time ago, remember when they were like trying to come into the friend group and you and I are enforcers of like, we don't need more friends. Like,
you mean we're bitches?
Yes, we're bitches. And
we're assholes. Yeah.
And also, I am clinically shy. Like, and it's hard for people to believe that, but it is true. And Tom is clinically shy and an introvert. And so we were at banter one time and he had had a couple of drinks. And he came up to us and literally stood in front of us and said, talk to me, damn it. And then Tom was like our second dad from that point on.
Yeah. It was probably on St. Patrick's Day. If we were all at banter, there's no chance it was anything other than a St. Patrick's Day.
No, we went other times, but that's fine. Yeah, we did. But yeah, it was funny. So, and then of course,
for the sake of this podcast, it was St. Patrick's Day.
Let's just, who cares about the truth? Whatever. And then we asked him to officially adopt us, and he said no because he knew better.
We asked him to officially adopt us before our father actually died.
Oh yeah, no, let's make that clear. This was years ago.
Like 10 years ago.
When we were like, wow, like you know how to do stuff and solve things. Will you be our dad?
Yeah, like no financial responsibility, but we will call you for help on things.
But the great news is he still helps with things, even though he's not our adopted dad. And then last night I was like, well, I've been putting it off for a while, but it's Saturday night and I like to watch Sometimes I either like to watch things like Shakespeare on a Saturday night, or I
Oh, Jesus.
like to watch some scintillating things on a Saturday
I
night.
like that
So
you're like shaking your shoulders like you're doing the fucking like Nancy Pelosi shimmy, but then you're like, sometimes I like to watch Shakespeare.
I do, because it is there. There are a handful of people in this world who think that's sexy.
uh,
A literal handful of people in the world who think that's sexy.
and that's why dating apps don't work for you.
Correct. So anyway, I was like, oh, Irish, I'll watch All of Us Strangers because I've been wanting to watch it for a while. And, I needed to make sure I wasn't going to be interrupted because everybody kept saying how sexy it was and how sexy it was. That, listen, yes, very beautiful men, very talented men. There were sex scenes in it. I would not call it sexy. The overwhelming emotion of the movie is sad. It is a very, very sad movie.
Okay, so tell me, for baseline, what would you call a sexy movie?
Flashdance. Almost any Adrian Lyne film is going to be a sexy movie. The entire British series of Queer as Folk, that was sexy.
That was sexy. That was sexy as hell.
Red, White, and Royal Blue should have been sexy, but wasn't. It was too forced.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to take me a minute. But anyway, I just want to say, for those of you who think that this is going to be like a nope. Nope. I mean, unless you have never seen attractive men kiss each other without their tops on, it is not going to be that sexy. It is very intimate, which is important for the story, but literally every single thing I've heard about this movie is like, it's so sexy, it's so sexy, it's so sexy. And I'm like,
is this the one with
why is
that?
Yeah, like it's the one with Wes's butt. But it's like, why is nobody talking about how sad this movie is? It's fucking sad. Like, it is depressing level sad. Like, sad. Like, yeah. So it was
it's
good.
much more fun to watch all their promo stuff on social media.
Yes, because they do have really good chemistry, but like they're both very, very depressed characters. So,
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. So it's worth watching, definitely. But just if you're going into it thinking you're going to be like, just realize you're going to go into it and be like, oh man, it's a fucking bummer. And then you'll be like, oh, this is a really good movie. I'm glad I heard on my favorite podcast that it was a bummer. Hey, how about we talk about The Quiet Man?
Can I go get some more coffee before we do that?
Yeah, I'll pause it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I forgot before we talk about the movie. I forgot the other listener response that we had from Trish. Because her dating story cracked me up. So I'll talk about that first. So a couple episodes back, we were talking about disordered eating and impacts of that. And she reminded me of what Grandma had us do and her parents did to her, which was Happy Plate, which can also be known as Clean Plate.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
I don't know that they did it for us, but
they were like, you need to eat less.
I'm pretty sure they did it for me, but
no, for me, it was close your mouth while you chew, you sound like a pig. That's what I remember. The one food-related thing I remember.
There are nicer ways to say that, but who doesn't like being bullied?
I learned how to chew with my mouth closed and is now a pet peeve of mine when people don't.
Who doesn't like being bullied by their own grandparents? So I know a lot of people had this growing up, especially in the 80s, it was, there are starving children in Africa. And Trish was so funny because she's like, I would be full. And they would just be like, no, you have to clean your plate. And she's like, but I'm full. Why? And so she said that it took her years to stop doing that. Yeah. And that now she actually uses side plates instead of full-size dinner plates because she still has that mental thing of like, I have to clear my plate. So she's just smarter about it and uses smaller plates. So anyway, so I told her about the stale popcorn thing to legitimize that it doesn't matter what size you are. You don't know about the stale popcorn.
I don't know what.
So it's a behavioral.
I know about the stale popcorn that Jacob eats when his mom uses it as packing material. shiz.
Well, that's the best kind. But so they did a study to basically prove that it doesn't, if you get, I'm trying to think of the fastest way to talk about this study. So they stood outside of a movie theater entrance and they had huge, like the biggest bucket you could get popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was mostly stale. But they gave it to people and they gave it to all kinds of people. Yeah. Thin people, medium people, big people, all kinds of people, different ages, different social classes, give them the popcorn.
Yeah.
Everyone ate too much popcorn, despite it being stale.
Yeah, you're going to eat what's in front of you.
Yes, it's a psychological thing, right? So they're like, that's why you use smaller plates, you can use blah, 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 because whatever, it doesn't matter who you are, how hungry you get, or whatever else.
Yeah.
If it's in front of you, you will eat it. You know, so you can basically
that's
behaviorally.
Evolutionary, our brains are wired to do that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
100%. Yeah. Anyway, so I backed Trish up by saying, hey, you know, science.
Yeah, this is not a failing with you.
And that's when we started talking about how the science says don't hit your kids, even if you call it spanking, it's still hitting. Because it damages their impulse control, which is usually why you're hitting them. Mm-hmm. And it makes you less smart. And then every time I try to bring that up to mom, she goes, well, they hit me and I'm still smart. And she doesn't understand the counter argument of how much smarter would you be?
How much smarter could you have been?
How much better impulse control might you have? Like,
also, which one of the kids, you, your brother, and your sister, got hit the most, and which one of you is the smartest?
Yeah. So,
it's hard, man. Like the only time I've ever is like when he's doing something that hurts me, and it's just pure reaction.
Yeah.
And I haven't ever actually, but they're like I've come close.
Yeah.
Because like when he bit me a couple of weeks ago, he was doing that thing where he put his teeth on me, and I was trying not to react because I knew that's what he wanted, and then he just kept biting harder and harder, and I came real close to like, but out of pure just this hurts, stop hurting me, you know. So, which by the way, that has gotten much better, and because that was like many like weeks ago, and we've had no more incidents of that. So
okay, that's fine.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to send you a video from Instagram about it. Don't worry.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not going to do
that? I'm sure. I just like sending you fun things.
None of the things you send me are fun. The things I send you are fun, like a man trying to bake with noodles.
I tried to send.
And the video I just sent you today about the different types of coworkers and like, you know.
I didn't see
like
that.
I send you fun videos. You send me how to live your life better videos.
I send you how to make your life less hard videos, which you think means how to live your life better. Less hard. Less hard.
Either way, not fun. Not fun.
I'm sorry. I think it would be fun if you had a sticky wall that Elliot could throw balloons at. That would be fun. Why wouldn't that be fun?
I don't even remember you sending me that.
Oh, there you go. I'm cutting.
You know what? When you come visit, you can make a sticky wall for him to throw balloons at. Okay. It sounds like a K Wood, a Texas. This is something we can do in Texas. It's a great activity for the 2 weeks we're there. Let's talk about the quiet man.
I can't make any promises about where I'll be physically to be able to promise to put things up, but that's okay.
Okay, well we can do it when we're in Texas. We'll do it together.
What do you remember about the quiet man?
All right. I wrote it down. WIR. John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara. John Wayne's a retired, quote unquote, pugilist.
Yeah.
Or boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Kill the man in the ring and escape to the Emerald Isle to forget his past.
Mm-hmm.
Maureen O'Hara, a fiery Irish woman. I put daughter of a drunk ? But that was not true. I remember I put married against her will ? Also not true.
Mm-hmm.
Dragging her to their hut And then I put, are we canceling this movie? The fact that I couldn't even finish it tells me that yes, we are, and we can talk about that. I am.
Okay.
I will never show Elliot this movie.
Okay.
And then I have, you've got a tongue like an otter.
Yeah.
Basically, I want a version of this movie where they just cut John Wayne out. And I would watch that. Just cut John Wayne out completely, and I will watch this movie again. What do you remember?
I remember the differing directional advice at the beginning, where they're like, "Oh, do you want to go to here? To go to here? Go
I
here,
didn't
take
remember that, but it was amazing. The most unhelpfully helpful people ever.
That is what I put.
I didn't remember that, but it was lovely.
The first thing I wrote after I started watching it was, "They're so kind and not helpful. Maybe we're more Irish than ADHD." Or maybe our Irishness complicates our ADHD.
It's DNA, whatever it is, it's genetic.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I put feisty lady, a long distance fight, and then I put the barn color because I remember being struck by the fact that they were like, "Oh, you painted it green and not red because red's cheaper or whatever." Red lasts longer, so that means you have to keep repainting it if you paint it green. I do want to talk about. So something happened in the 90s where our dad figured out he was quote unquote Irish. At most, he was a quarter Irish. Okay, y'all. So let's be real clear. Like, he was not that Irish. Like, but he thinks
he was very Celtic, though.
Sure. Yes.
Because
Scots and it's fine. It's fine. Okay. But at that point, when he decided he was Irish, he learned to play the bodhrán, which is that single Irish drum with the one stick that we always make fun of. He tried to learn a little Gaelic. He watched every goddamn Irish movie that got released in the United States over and over and over and over and over. Fiona, come back! Or Jamie, come back! It's your sister, Fiona! I don't think I've ever seen that movie, but let me tell you how many times
I have. It's a lovely movie.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure.
The Secret of Rowan Inish.
Yes, but before he was Irish, we watched The Quiet Man quite a lot. So I do remember a lot of the film.
Yeah, because we went, like I was telling Ben yesterday, I was talking about Dad and how it was his favorite holiday. I was telling Ben about how when we were kids, did you ever go to the Irish Festival?
I went a couple times, yeah.
Okay, I was like, I didn't really remember you ever going. But how he, would volunteer every year and he stage managed and run the soundboard. And Ben was like, really? And I was like, well, it was before he broke.
Yeah.
It was before he was broken. And then Ben was like, no, and that he would be good at that. And he's like, he knew how to do that. So I was like, yeah, that's what he went to college for. But so, I mean, I remember going to the Irish Fest when I was at least like 8 or 9 even. Yeah. And so before.
But he wasn't volunteering then. He got into volunteering in the 90s when he got super Irish and learned to play the bodhrán and all that. Like, that's all tied up together.
No, he was volunteering before. Where's Mom?
No.
Okay. It was when he watched The Commitments.
Yeah.
It was The Commitments, and that wasn't even until like the late 90s, right?
No, The Commitments came out in like 92.
Okay, well, fine. You're right.
It's all about when I had to start waking up Saturday mornings earlier than I wanted to because I was a fucking teenager and there was goddamn Irish music playing at the loudest possible volume.
Okay, but nothing was worse than when he played the gypsy. Do you remember the gypsy music?
No, I don't.
You may have moved out at this point, but there was like a period of time where he got some CD with like fucking gypsies throat singing. I don't even know what it was. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, there is no way that you actually enjoy this. Like, you were really just being a fucking asshole at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Like,
he was really good at being an asshole at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. That is for sure.
And many other times. God love him. Rest your soul. Love you, Dad, but
you've a tongue like an adder. I forgot
He
about
said that to me a lot.
Yeah, he said that to me a lot too. I forgot about the book and writing people's names down in the book, and I don't know why, because he used to say that to us all the time. I was like, "Is your book just full of me and Riot's names, like over and over and over and over?"
It's like, because he says your name's in my book. By the way, y'all, there's going to be a lot of terrible Irish accents for the remainder of this episode.
It'll be middling to terrible.
Middling to terrible. But it might go Australian at some point, as Heather likes to tease me about.
No, you always go Irish.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, you're like Dave Anthony. You always go Irish. Whatever you're doing, it goes Irish. But neither of us is as bad at accents as Jake Johnson. So, good God.
Love and respect Jake Johnson, but you are good at many, many, many things.
I don't think it's going to hurt his feelings.
I know, because he's never going to listen to this.
I think even if he did, I think, it's self-awareness. I think he knows.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yes.
But yeah, so he's like, your name's in me book. And I was like, oh, that's fine. And then he goes home and he gets the kid. And he's like, write this name in my book. And I was like, oh, he has an actual book. But then he crosses it out. Now cross through it. So you have the effort of writing the name down.
Yes.
Just so that you can cross it. That is the beginning of canceling.
That is
where cancel culture started.
That's what you did. That's what you did to Andy when he was mean to Mom. Mentally, you wrote him in a book, and then you wrote through his name, and he was dead to you. And you were like, I don't know who. You can't talk about Andy because he died. His bar burned down.
Burned down. Yeah. How did you go there?
So I think one of the ways that I would like to approach talking about the film, because first of all, I never realized it was set in the 1920s. So I think understanding that that's when it's set helps a lot.
Okay, so even though it came out in the 50s, it's set in the 20s.
Yes. I think that helps a lot. I think their Irishness gets conflated with gender roles. And I think that makes it difficult to watch.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how first of all, if I were going to do anything to this movie, I would edit the shit out of it. It's way too long.
It's so goddamn long.
Yeah, it's way too long. It didn't need to be that long.
2 hours. No.
Yeah, no, too long. But if you were to cut it down, I think it still has a lot of value, and it's hard to tell the difference between what informed who I am as a person and how much of it is, oh, I see myself in this now as an adult. Because definitely, I think that Maureen O'Hara is an actress that I've always kind of identified with the roles that she takes, so in The Parent Trap and Miracle at 34th Street and in this movie, and probably some other movies that I might have seen at some point. But those are the big three that I think of with Maureen O'Hara. They're all movies I've seen multiple times. And there is just this kind of feistiness where she's looking for somebody who can match her, Yeah. And I think it gets played out in more of a physical way in this film. But Mom and I were kind of talking about that too. So for those who don't know, I've talked about it before, but this movie was made during the production code era, which basically meant that, the sexiest thing you could do was smash faces on each other. You couldn't, they couldn't imply that they had sex until after they had been married, all of that. It was a very tight, restrictive code. And evidently John Ford considered this to be his sexiest film that he ever made. But again, it's during the production code, it probably is.
I get
it. And
he
made Westerns, and they're not exactly ooh,
Yeah.
Plus, he did a lot with John Wayne, who is not a sexy person. I'm sorry.
You know what, though?
Yes.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
When he and the priest meet each other,
yes,
at the beginning, the way they look at each other,
yes,
you fucking fire. What the fuck? 1952, OMG, like that to me was way more real because then he sees a Maureen O'Hara, they see each other, and
Mhm.
like it's not even the same. Like it's so
No, yeah.
forced.
It's
It's
very much
so
just they're
forced.
looking at each other. That's
Yeah.
it. And they cut the gaze together. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
woo.
But there's a lot of like physical, it's that physicality. Like they're physically, with the wind kiss and just kind of the way that their bodies and their personalities keep coming into each other and coming against each other is, I think, a lot of where that kind of sexiness probably comes from, in as much as it can be. I mean, you still have a lot of the like Gone with the Wind bullshit of like, damn it, woman, and that kind of shit, which I'm just like, oh, whatever. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
apparently John Wayne really hated all of the fake exteriors, and I don't blame him because they're terrible.
Yeah.
Um, this movie won, it was nominated for several Academy Awards. It won for Best Director. I think it was John Huston's fourth win, unprecedented at the time.
Mm,
Potentially still, I don't know.
mm.
And the cinematography, it won Best Cinematography. And I was like, well, fine, because you just filmed it in Ireland and
I
Ireland's
was gonna
beautiful.
say Ireland for cinematography. Like, here you go.
But because the weather changes so much, he had to light every scene 3 times. So any
Yeah.
outdoor scene, he had to light it for rain, he had to light it for sun, and he had to light it for overcast because the weather
Yeah.
would change that quickly. So in
Yeah.
that sense,
Yeah.
yes, definitely deserves to win Best Cinematography.
And you can
And
see that. Like you can see like when they're outside and then they go inside into a scene, like how
yes,
much the coloring and everything
yeah,
changes.
and
So
especially because they filmed it in Technicolor. So
yeah,
um,
gotta love some Technicolor.
yeah,
Gotta
so
love that
much,
Technicolor.
so
I
much
want
green.
my life to be filmed in Technicolor. Like, where's that filter on Instagram? Can I please get the Technicolor filter on Instagram?
Listeners, if you know what that is, can you just let us know so Ryan can use
Yeah,
it?
which one it
I don't
is.
know. I don't know. And then things got a little Freudy because he can hear his mother's voice telling him about Innisfree, and I'm like, that's just Maureen O'Hara, right? Like,
Trying to sound old.
yeah, like they couldn't even like hire an old lady, like.
I've been through the fields. Um, Real quickly,
Yeah,
do you remember? You know, I love to play this game. Do
uh-huh.
you remember when we moved into the house on Kaywood Street?
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you remember that the previous owners left a John Wayne poster behind?
No.
No? Yes. And the back of the bathroom door of the back bedroom, there was a full-sized fucking John Wayne poster. Like of him, like from a country, like one of his westerns, like "Howdy, partner," like with the holster and everything, and the like that's what y'all left, like, and it's like not only did it's like they must have forgotten. I don't know, like because
I don't know,
like
but
if you do,
now I'm really sad that I didn't do that every place I ever moved out of.
oh my god, was like the time that Jacob House sat for Emily and like left that framed Twilight
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
house.
good
But
times.
yeah, no, and I think mom and dad like left it up for a while.
Probably because it's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like wow,
Yeah.
like this is so random. It's so
Evidently, Maureen O'Hara referred to him as the Duke, which I just think is so weird. Like,
well, a lot of people did. I mean, that was
yeah, but they worked together multiple
oh
times. Like,
yeah.
it's weird.
I
And
mean,
you
I
know
guess
what?
John, like
He
I
had all
don't think you
that.
could call John Wayne John. Like, hey John, like no.
You'd have to call him John Wayne. Yeah.
I feel, but even then, calling him John Wayne's weird. Like, hey John Wayne, how are you today? Like,
Okay.
anyways, okay.
It's fine. You know what? You know what that very tall man needed?
Acting
A
lessons.
fucking lighter.
It was the 20s.
He kept lighting they had lighters in the 20s. He kept lighting his damn cigarette off his shoe. I'm like, you are so tall. Stop doing this. And then also, how much money did he have? Because he would take like 2 puffs and then throw the cigarette away.
Oh, I think they said at one point he was like a millionaire.
Oh, I know, but still, like,
yeah.
Our grandma Margaret Gray would have been following him around like, oh, you're wasting these, honey. Those unfiltered.
Can't even get these anymore.
That's right.
First of all, 7 a.m. mass is terrible. Why would you do that?
Also, it looks depressing as fuck. That was like
that our mother would have been weeping at that fucking stained glass.
Oh yeah, that's true. And some of the cloaks. The cloaks were beautiful.
Yes.
The embroidery on them. Oh.
Don't be playing patchy fingers in the holy water.
Let me tell you something. I do love that the Duke had his own horse and buggy Uber to follow him around. That was so great.
Yeah, Michaeleen is the probably the best thing in this movie.
100%. Yeah, Michaeleen is great. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, cut John Wayne out completely.
Yeah.
And I would 100%, because like all of the supporting characters are so much better.
I was really sad that in the first pub scene, there's a guy wearing a yellow vest and he's hanging out by the fireplace. And since it's in Technicolor, the yellow is yellow, right?
Yellow.
But it's like you never go back to that guy. And I'm like, why is he wearing a yellow vest if he's that, like, is he somebody's brother or did he win the lottery to be in the movie or something? Go back to
the first pub scene for me, like the accordion player is like the best thing in that whole goddamn scene. Like, first of all, where was he?
Yeah.
It's like he walks in and like everyone's just like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when they break the ice and he's just like,
cue the accordion. Yeah, that's what I read.
Mm-hmm. And then like the bad guy comes in and they're like, having their intense conversation. He's just in the back, like, play accordion. I was
and
like,
then later I wrote, stop the accordion. Did Ireland not have coat racks at the time? Because they were all walking around carrying their coats in that pub. Why?
Apparently not. Yeah.
You can't put it on a chair. What's the deal here? What's happening? So I wanted to tell I want to say something because I'm afraid I'll forget it. So I feel like with Mary Kate, it's not so much her feistiness as it is her unwillingness to be made less than by men.
Yeah.
That I think was very appealing to me. It does feel like Dad based his entire Irish personality on Michaeleen, who is like the Irish Falstaff.
But so charming. I love Michaeleen.
Yeah.
I wish Dad would have been more like Michaeleen. I will want to say that, like, there may not be a point to, but when they're talking about her and they're like, she's got a temper. And that would be fine, but no man's going to put up with her lack of fortune.
It was the 1920s.
I know. Turning the page.
It was the 1920s. It bothers me more that they have no conversations, just kisses. Like, this is another one where I'm like,
that's what I'm saying. Is like, he doesn't.
Why are you in love
to...
with each other? Like, I don't believe it. No. I don't believe it.
I 100%. And like, I'm sorry, like we have to talk about the complete lack of consent. I know it's the 1920s, but I don't care.
It's okay. It's okay. Calm down.
Like, you don't just grab someone and kiss them.
No matter how much it is pure cinema, because it is.
Yes, I know.
Also, you know how she slaps him after and he holds his hand up to stop it? Yeah. She goes to slug him and then he puts his hand up so that she hits his hand instead. She really walloped him and she broke a bone in her hand.
Good for her.
Except they were filming out of sequence, so she couldn't wrap it. So she just had to have a broken bone for the whole rest of the shoot and couldn't have it wrapped.
Jesus.
I was telling Mom about there's this Kate McKinnon skit that she would do where they'd have like modern day actresses on or women pretending to be modern day actresses. And it was, I think they started the series before Me Too and then they brought it back more, like that character as Me Too continued. And,
Yeah.
you know, be like, you know, a woman being like, well, you know, they told me that I had to, you know, go on a date with a producer to get a job. And, you know, some guy sent me an eggplant emoji on text or whatever. And then they cut to Kate McKinnon and she's pretending to be like this 80-year-old, like old school Hollywood system actress. And she'd be like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty bad. You know, one time my sister and I had to, and it's like the most disgusting, degrading shit you've ever heard. Like, so I kind of feel like when I'm watching this, I always kind of have that Kate McKinnon like thing in my head of like, oh, like I know it's
Yeah.
not great. It's still not great, but oh my God, it was so bad. Like
Yes.
so bad. Ah, yeah.
Um, I mean, and there are such good lines. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's such clever, like when he's like talking about him at the church and he's like, I was just saying good morning. He's like, but it was good night you had on your mind. You know, like it's just so much more clever
Oh yeah.
than
Party of the
anyone
first
is.
part.
Party of the first part, a party of the second. That's him. Party of the second. That's me.
Yeah.
Being me.
Yep.
And I love the presence of the IRA. I just have to say, like, I love
Yeah.
the political. It's like fun. It's
Yeah.
like fun. We might burn down your house. Like if it was, we would have. It was if the IRA was involved, your house would be smoldering ash.
Mm-hmm.
Just we're gonna go talk a little treason with me friends, and then the priest is in on it too. So.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. It's interesting that it was there that they didn't, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because there was
Well, that
a
was
lot they could have cut out. What's a little well-meaning conspiracy in an Irish village? You know how you talked about how going through the parade yesterday and you kept seeing people you knew and all that. Like if
yeah.
you lived in Innisfree, that would be every goddamn day because people would be following you around. Like you wouldn't, there would be no surprises that you got married because you would have been there. Like you would have known every single step along the
Oh,
way.
100%. Because this is what happens when there's no television.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
go a courting and the whole town's there for the announcement of these people are starting to date.
Yes. Yeah.
Like even with social media, like you would think that like social media would be like the modern version of that,
Yeah.
except you know it's by choice instead of by force.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
um, I love the whole like him and his big bed, like all of the like speculation about his giant bed that
Oh
he
my
was
God. And I
ordering.
just wrote, how much harder is everything to do in that day and age? It's like, God, you
Oh
had to
my
find like a fucking pony cart and then, like take the bed apart and IKEA it back together and shit.
dude,
Like,
I ordered something last night on Amazon and like homeboy just dropped it off, like literally just dropped it off 20 minutes ago. Someone was on my
right.
porch
Yeah.
dropping it off. So like, yes, it's so much harder. Like,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
um,
Yep. So I like that both of them run off together, and then she's the shameless hussy. Yeah, they both ran off, but she's the
it was
shameless
his
hussy.
idea.
Yeah, yep,
He's
yep.
like, do you know how to ride a bike? And she, of course,
Hmm.
Heather, it was the 1920s.
I know.
Due to you, what you did to me.
Would you like to know a true thing that happened on set that makes me mad?
Sure. No. Yes. Maybe.
So John Huston and John Wayne thought it would be funny during the scene where he's dragging her back from the
Uh,
train
uh-huh.
to kick sheep manure in the way. And so she and her friends found it and kicked it all back out of the way. And then the Johns got together and kicked it back in the way. And then she and her friends got together and put it back out of the way. And then they kicked it back in the way. And then they shot it. So she was literally being dragged through sheep manure because they thought it was a fun practical joke. And apparently, in commentary on it at one point, she was like, oh, that's just how it was, you know, whatever. It's just like, hey, like, you broke your fucking finger. They dragged your ass across
Sheep manure.
sheep shit for no good reason. But really, if you think about this movie, at the end of the day, it's just he has fucking PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, could they not just talk about how he has PTSD and then maybe this whole thing would be a better movie? Like,
Yes. Yeah. Like
because the
it's fucking
reason
fragile
he gets mad
masculinity.
because he won't fight, but he won't fight
because he's afraid he's going to kill him.
Because he has PTSD.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's more complicated than misogyny. I mean, it really is. But like, it's just not handled well. Like, it's not, because it's a romantic comedy. But yeah.
Michaeleen, like that whole, oh God. The fact that she's continuously referred to as spinster when he's bachelor.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He tells her to shut up. Like,
it reminds me of when Dad did that to me when he was in the hospital. When he was hallucinating, and I don't think it was the day that he thought I was a doppelganger, but it was one of the days in the hospital when he was still hallucinating. And I was just talking to him about something, and he just looks at me and goes, "Shut the fuck up." And I burst out laughing.
It's like, so, whatever his name is, Sean Thornton from Pittsburgh, Massachusetts.
Right. Why would they know?
Like, to the point where at one point I was like, is Pittsburgh ever part of Massachusetts?
Right.
Like a second, I was like, what?
And good for the Birdcage for pointing out how ridiculous and terrible John Wayne's walk is. It really is a terrible walk. Like,
he's not a good actor.
No,
and his
he's not.
voice is terrible. Like, where are you from that you talk like that?
I don't know.
Like, I'm glad that he's supposed to be so aloof that he doesn't talk very much in the movie, but
I also would like to draw a comparison. I think you'll see this where others may not. If you like The Notebook, you might love this movie because Mary-Kate Denner acts just as bonkers as Rachel McAdams does in The Notebook, where you're just like, what the fuck? What is going on?
That movie also gets called out as one that is very manipulative. Where he's like, I'm going to kill myself if you don't go on a date with me. So,
Yeah, same kind of thing. Yeah.
But it was also set in the 1920s.
Oh,
the 30s or the 40s.
It was the 40s because he went to war.
It was the 40s. Yes, yeah. I like so I have a question. So when she's like, I ain't no woman to be honked at and come a running. Like, is that the foundation of No Scrubs?
I would say that, but then he does it and she does come running. So.
I know. Oh, I hated that. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I thought you weren't a woman to be honked at and come a running. My John Wayne's terrible.
She probably should have just been like, well, I was going to wait for you to come to the door, but it would take 500 years because you walk so slow. So I figured I'd just come out here myself.
The only research I did on this movie was on the courting wagon. And those... the only research I did. I was like, are those real?
Give me the Gaelic word for it. Did you look it up?
Oh, I don't know the Gaelic word for it, but it's called an Irish jaunting car.
Oh, okay.
So it was very Irish.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote, like, is that like a special wagon for courting because they couldn't sit next to each other?
Yeah, they had to face opposite ways.
Yeah, and yes and no. So they used it for other things, but it was called an Irish jaunting car. So there you go. That's all I got.
That's our next pop-up idea. We want to go on Tinder? Let's go on an Irish jaunt, shall we?
And then, we can combine my previous idea of hiring someone to bring flags.
Oh,
like the referees who can, like, throw the red flag.
The Michaeleen can be throwing flags.
Yes! I think it's just matchmaker at that point, like, in the same way that he was. Like, yes. I love that he was, like, the fucking town matchmaker.
Yep.
This fucking drunk. The horse auto stopping at the pub is hands down the funniest thing in the entire goddamn movie. He's like, I guess you got more sense than I do. Like
I like that everything was like, take a bet. Like, you're absolutely right. Honestly, true. If you did take John Wayne out, it would be a lot shorter and it would be a better movie. You're right.
It would be a so much better movie. Like, even if she's like talking to no one,
there wouldn't be
fighting with no one
for him to fight at the end. I did read something that So prize fighters don't fight like that. But to make it more cinematic, and especially because they were brawling across the countryside, they had to throw like big wide swings that they normally wouldn't have done. So I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of interesting, like changing something for the camera. I do feel like this is why teaching emotional intelligence and communication is very important.
Yes.
And the Irish, whatever cart you said, is not the way to do that. So that's
Yeah.
fine. Now, I will say this. So I forgot that when they got the money from the brother, they
Mm-hmm.
immediately put it in the fire. So you didn't watch the end of the movie. So
No,
this is
I'm
where I
sorry.
think the movie can kind of redeem itself a little bit. So she's mad. So she won't sleep with him. He sleeps, they get married. She won't sleep with him. He
Because
sleeps
she
on a
doesn't have her
sleeping bag.
diary. Yeah.
Right. And then she gets all her stuff back.
Yeah.
So once she gets all her stuff, she sleeps with him, but then immediately the next morning she's gonna run away to Dublin on the train. Which I'm like, bitch, why didn't you just do that before? Like, when do you have to wait for John Wayne to come
So
to?
petulant. Like she's trying to make him act, right? It's one thing I don't like
Yes.
about her as a character, in which I don't think I identify with you in any way. Like it's such a
No,
me trait.
but
Like me, but
but
she's just like, I'm gonna do something crazy to make you react and come after me.
yes, and it's the principle, which I feel like is a very Irish thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the principle of that money is hers. She deserves it, and she's mad at him because he won't fight to get it for her. Now, he
Yes.
has PTSD and she doesn't know that, and whatever. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's the principle of the thing because he drags her all the way back in. He has the fight with her brother, has it out. They call it a draw, whatever, whatever. They get the
Mm.
money. He's holding the money, and she walks over to like a coal burning whatever fire and opens the door and doesn't say a fucking word. And then he walks over and throws the money in. She closes the grate and wipes her hands and like kisses him or whatever. So it was like, it wasn't about the money as having the money. It was the principle of it was her money. She was owed it. So it was like, again, that kind of thing where, yes.
She wanted him to recognize how important it was to her and then to make it a priority. Like that's
Correct.
how she needed him to show her he cared about her.
So again, like I said, it's not so much her feistiness or her petulance as it is her unwillingness to be made less than by the men in her life. So I do feel like it somewhat redeems itself, except that I still don't believe that they're in love with each other because that's not how it works.
No.
And I don't believe that they had a happy marriage because also what the fuck were they going to do all day? Just sit there and stare at that fire? Like, what was there to do? Like, I mean,
well, but they're gonna get a plow. They were gonna farm, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why are you planting roses? You need to plant a fucking turnip." Like, come on. Like, first of all, turnips are gross. Don't plant turnips. Like,
well, she couldn't say potatoes because
but she could serve them.
The blight. Cord, sort of. She was not very good at serving potatoes when she was mad.
She's just always mad. She was so angry.
She was.
Which, I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, it was what prospects did she have? I mean, if there was already a teacher in the town, she couldn't do that. Right? I mean, what could she do? Like,
yeah, no, I know.
Her options were extremely limited.
And that's the thing is, if you talk about social emotional learning, but in a way, it's like, yes, she had a lot of emotions, but she also voiced what was wrong with her.
She did.
Like, she put into words, this is what I'm mad about. This is what I want you to do.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. Do you remember the old man on the street in Durham?
I will never forget the old man on the street in Durham. Another of my treasured English memories.
To this day, I have no idea what that man was saying to us.
Nope.
Couldn't understand a fucking word. Drunk as a skunk at what, like, I don't know, 10 in the morning?
Well, no, because we were there for lunch, so it was probably more like 11.
Like afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
No idea what he was saying. Mm-hmm. Still, between the accent and the intoxication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But he was charming. Very charming.
Oh, yes, very absolutely sweet. Charming. No clue what he was saying. Probably making fun of us. Who knows?
Probably.
Couldn't
I
hurt.
would much rather someone make fun of me and me not be able to understand it. Um, I mean, I like Maureen O'Hara. I do think she's a good actress, but the scene in the cemetery where it's raining, I'm like, has it never rained before? Like she was acting like there was something coming out of the sky, like with their flying monkeys coming, like serenity, like what is happening?
Yeah. Her
It's like,
acting in this was not
fine.
not not up to caliber. Yeah. I would say that that's true.
Yeah,
But
this movie is way too long. Take John Wayne out. Leave him in westerns.
but it's
Like,
still it is a delightful movie to watch. I think you just have to have the caveats, but I still say it's delightful.
there are delightful things about this movie. But you own it now.
Oh, I already have it on DVD twice, so
Oh, okay. Well, now you own it on Prime.
great. I watched it on Tubi for free, so
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I didn't want to deal with commercials.
Yeah.
It was
Actually,
$5.
it's fine. I like watching the commercials because I like what I hate the commercials, but I like it because it gives me time to write. So
Mm.
without having to like pause it. So I don't mind the commercials.
This movie gave me lots of time to write.
I was enjoying it very
I
much.
also folded laundry. Like, the week's laundry.
Oh,
Got it
look
all
at
done and
you
put
with
away.
my back works and I can do chores and shit. Show off.
Whatever, my knees don't work. Would you like to see the rest of my house while you're on video?
No,
Don't even
no,
play.
no. But we got a Roomba and we haven't let it go yet, so I'm very excited to see what happens with
Oh, I'm
Sadie.
so glad. I thought about getting. I think I talked to you like, if I get this for mom, do you think she would use it? And you said no. So
Yeah, but I think she
how
will
did
now.
you? Oh,
I
okay.
said, I'm gonna buy this thing. Is that okay? And she said yes.
It's so awesome.
Yeah,
I actually turned mine on. I took it up to school, and I just brought it back, and so I'm charging it so that I can do it
yeah, it's
today.
fully charged. So I'm gonna get ready with the video to take video of Sadie because I imagine
She's like, so poor Sadie.
she has had a really good life.
I know, but well, okay, but take a video because Elliot will find that hilarious.
I am gonna take a video. That's what I said.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just changing my
Anything
mind.
else about The Quiet Man before we move on?
No.
Okay.
Pretty funny. Love Irish. Love, one day we have to go to Ireland. I don't want to
Okay.
die without. Dad died without going to Ireland. I don't want us to die without going to Ireland.
Okay. Let me get my back fixed. We'll go to Ireland.
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds like a plan.
yeah. I don't know how because Elliot really wants to go to Tahiti. We passed out yesterday, and he's like, sees the giant like thing of Tahiti, and he's like, "When are we going there?" I was like, "Honey, I would have to stop buying you toys completely for a number of years if you want to go to Tahiti."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Him and his, oh, look at that playhouse. It's $1,200, honey. We'll take a picture for Santa. No, honey. Santa's not buying you.
Santa ain't rich.
Santa ain't buying you a $1,200 playhouse. Like, well, his elves can build it for me. No, his elves already built you a playhouse in Texas. You done. We done.
Oh my gosh. So my one of the people on my team this weekend, she is at her niece's first birthday. And so I was like, oh, are they gonna do the smash cake thing? She's like, Heather. It's like, yes. I volunteered to pay for the cake. And then they told me the cake was $120. And that
But when
doesn't
the
even
kids get a smash,
no, that doesn't even include the smash cake. That's the main cake that everybody else is gonna eat.
sorry,
Smash cake is
Costco,
like another $40. I was like,
go the fuck to
girl.
Costco.
She was like, yeah, my mom and I are going to go in. I was like, okay, so next time when you volunteer to pay for something, tell them there's a spend limit on it.
Yeah. Or just like, I'll bring the cake.
Right.
I'll bring the
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah. So
You tell me the thing. And people are dumb. Like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
God.
Yep. Hopefully that makes you feel a little better.
I mean, I don't mean to be like avocado toast, but avocado toast, like, come on.
Well, yeah. Also,
You know what I mean? Like, that's a real avocado toast.
late stage capitalism.
Yeah, like nobody needs to spend $120 on
I
a cake.
counter every argument against what people should or shouldn't be doing with late stage capitalism.
I know.
We're all fine. Thank you. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. We forgot to do this last week. Join us next week.
Oh, shit. I do have one more thing to say about The Quiet Man. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Two.
Hold on.
Two Irish songs in that whole fucking 2-hour movie. It's the like, and then the fucking like, what was the other one? The Wild Colonial Boy. Like, that's it.
There are more than two, but there are not many more than two. No, there are
not. There's two. Like, that needed way more. There's so many more other Irish songs. Okay, now I'm done.
But a lot of Irish songs sound the same. So again, they could have been 18 different songs, and you just feel like, oh, this
I
all
know
sounds
enough
like
Irish music that it's not the same. And like, why is the only instrument an accordion?
Oh,
Never saw a bow run.
No, my friend.
Oh, did I not? It was
at the wedding, they whipped out the bagpipes. Or no, at the horse race, they whipped out the bagpipes. They did have the bagpipes,
but I mean, but those are, I guess they are. I don't know. I don't know.
They're Celtic, but let me tell you.
Never saw a bow run.
No.
Never saw a fucking penny whistle.
No.
Never. I mean, there was a piano.
There was no fiddle.
There was no fiddle.
Yeah.
But there was an accordion.
There was harp music, but that was, the first time he saw Maureen O'Hara. Harp music. I did think at one point I made a note that mostly through this, she just acted like a ghost. Like she kept hiding. And like making big eyes. Like, my ghost. Miss Spencer ghost.
Have I told you that Elliot's convinced our house is haunted?
Yeah, you told me, and I told you it's not.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and go start Anthem.
Last night. So last night, I've set Alexa every night at 6:30 to remind me to give Elliot his medicine because use your tools.
Yes.
But it does it every night, obviously, because no one was here. I was by myself. I was in the bathroom. The dryer was going. I was watching a video on my phone, and she starts to tell me, and I swear to God, I almost had a heart attack. I thought somebody was in the house. Scared the fucking shit out of me, and I'm pretty sure it's not the first time that Alexa randomly talking to me has like scared the shit out of me.
Well, you weren't expecting it. What are you gonna do?
Yes, I wasn't expecting that at 6:30. I mean, I think the weather, like, because it was also still really sunny outside.
You're time blind, so.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's like everybody last weekend was like, "Oh, the time change," and I'm like, means nothing to me.
You don't sleep. You don't sleep well, so I'm sure that doesn't help.
Like it doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it did. My heart was racing. Like to the point I was like, "Hello?" Like I was like, "Did Ben and Elliot come back?" Like what?
Thanks for listening. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we start our theme series of They Let You Watch That? Which will start with A Fish Called Wanda. And yes, they let us watch that. So what made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? What should we talk about in future episodes? We do want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram and Threads at I Love You But Pod, or email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes, just like they did today. And hey, we're still trying to grow this cute little podcast that could. So be sure to rate, review, and follow I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.